Yeah, thank you. A warm welcome from me and from Alex for joining a developer's journey in the crypto Lambo moon. We're here as developers to speak for developers, right? But we're also superheroes when we are alone in the nights and there's only this one laptop in front of you and you dive down into your tunnel, right? This is where it becomes magical, where we become superheroes. At this point, we want to say thank you to everybody who has visited our booth. We had so much fun these 3 days with you. We have a lot of open talks. It was fantastic. Thank you for showing up. And if you missed us, we're at level 2. Yeah, come after the show, come after in the afternoon, have some coffee with us if you have questions. We won't have a Q&A because we think everybody's like a little bit tired today. We want to have a lunch, so we'll try to be done at a time and meet you afternoon at our booth. So let's start it. What is it all about? 2017. What a crazy year that was, 2017. Everybody's going crazy about cryptocurrencies, right? It was the rise of the cryptocurrencies. The whole IT community was just distracted by this topic. It was the most distracting topic in 2017 in my world, right? Like everybody was talking about Bitcoin at school, at university, at the tram, at office, everybody. Even my mother asked me, what is a Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
so, for me, it was crazy, but I would like to have some warm-up and to see if this was just my world or also your world. So we have some question, and to get to know each other a little better, I'll just take off the mask so it is not unfair. You see my face, I will see your face. So the first question, please just raise your hand. Who of you has ever bought any, I call it blockchain-powered tokens because I don't like the noun cryptocurrencies. So please raise your hand. Who has ever bought Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever? My favorite blockchain, Neo. So almost everybody, okay? I would say maybe 90%, 95%. Thank you. And the next question is a little bit harder. Who of you has ever spent the tokens for its purpose? Please raise your hand. So like,
still a few.
Spend it for, yeah? Okay, so, but way much less, right? So spend it on CryptoKitties or something, right? And now the hardest question, who of you has ever deployed your own code to a blockchain or has done something with code on blockchain? Let's say smart contract, dApps, maybe write your own consensus node. So just a few. So you are the developers here, right?
You're the heroes, definitely, yeah.
So you're the heroes. So what I want to show is that it is an interesting space, right? So we are all investing. So we have a huge amount of people investing. We have I would say not so mature adoption and a very few coders who are working on it, right? So do you see the opportunity? So do you see the opportunity? What I mean is like it's easy to get money, but it's not about the money, right? It's about a topic that can be a game changer for people. The blockchain is for the people, right? It's a key for enabling the open internet. So, as you know, maybe I'm dressing like a superhero, and for 3 days, I have it all over my phone, you know, it's everywhere. So, superheroes on Amazon, on Facebook, it's distracting, right? So, blockchain is a key to keep us away from that, so that the information flow on the internet will not be distracted by various interests, right? This is the potential. This is the really magic of blockchain, where it starts to move the universe. It's a movement of decentralization and digitization. So, and what's now the magic with us as developers is that if you put your hands on, you will like realize that it's very, very low and let's say it's very at the beginning, right? It feels like going back to IT at the 80s. So I'm glad that Steve Wozniak is here, and I think he's a genius, but he wouldn't be Steve Wozniak if he hadn't had that opportunity, right? To be at the right generation where computer and IT sector just pull off. And I think we are lucky because blockchain is really at its beginning, and all of you guys have the opportunity to make something bigger out of it. So beside the whole currency stuff. And if you're ready to move the world, I have to tell you, of course, we are hiring you. So if you search for a decent job, just come over to us and let's have a talk. We are hiring not just developers, all of you who is really from the whole sector of IT.
Should we get our story on, huh?
Yeah, we should try to get the story right. So, what a crazy year that was. I think everybody of you has your own story of 2017. So you have your lost and found bitcoins, your friends who lost their I don't know, their private keys or something. And we are here to tell you our crazy story. Back in the days, in 2017, I was sitting in the office with Alex, and we tried to solve the major question of every day: what are we going to have to lunch? This time, someone was ringing at the door, and it was a friend of us. Danny, he's actually a customer and a friend. He said, "Hey, I bring you Chinese food. It's your favorite dish." And we know when he comes around like this, he
Made us suspicious.
Yeah, he needs something from us. So we were sitting at the lunch, and the guy said, "This. Can you set up an automated system so that as soon as Bitcoin hits 20,000, a Lamborghini is ordered for my son?" And we're like, "Just what?
Sure we can, but why?
Why? Are you crazy? Is this really happening? Is this really happening?" So you have to know that Danny is really wealthy. He's, I don't know, a reseller for fruits, I think. I think he's selling apples or something. And he said, "Yeah, I've been arguing with my son, you know. He's investing all my money into Bitcoin mining, and he was really convinced that this will go up and it will hit 20,000. And I'm an old guy, I don't believe it. I think Bitcoin should be stable around 1,000, something like this. It should be fair, right? Because it's good, it's not so bad. You have to put energy inside, so 1,000 should be a fair price." So I want to teach him a lesson, and we agreed, okay, if it really happens, what I don't believe, I would like to make it in a cool way. So if I order a Lamborghini, I would let the social media know. And now you get insight into my private notes. Please don't analyze it psychologically.
Enjoy them. That's what I got to see a lot.
This is what I scribbled down when we talked. Please don't analyze it psychologically. It can just be bad for me. But what I thought, okay, this is easy, right? Order Lambo. Easy. It's a very thin IT part to do. So I thought, okay, we set up a listener. If Bitcoin is higher than 20K, order Lambo. We can do it as easy as 2 emails. We inform Danny, and we inform the Lambo dealer. That's it. And we do all the arrangement with the lawyers so that if we send the mail, everything is done. Everything is perfect, and we're out of the game. So this was the first assumption. And we thought, okay, we want to show you some code. But we thought, okay, you know this site, CoinMarketCap. If you scroll down to the page, you find the API. Of course, you can use also just the usual API, I don't know, from a centralized exchange. But we thought, okay, CoinMarketCap will be okay for us. So you click on the API, and you will have examples like this. You get back the JSON structure. You know all of you know this kind of stuff, and you will find the Bitcoin in the first row. You have the price. You check the price. I don't know, like every 30 minutes, you get the whole history for 30 minutes. And if it's over, then we'll send the mails. Easy, right? Easy.
Easy.
but then, as it often happens, the next day he called me and he said, "Hey, I have to tell you something, guys. I talked to my wife and she's not happy with this because, I mean, she said you cannot be that mean to your son because if Bitcoin goes down, it will be at around 1,000. He will lose a lot of money, and you're making it even worse because you won't buy him a Lambo, right? So he thinks he will win a Lambo and he will be wealthy and rich, and now you're making it even worse that he will lose a lot of money. Can we do it like a tweet? So we will arrange a Twitter message, and if I post it, then you will do the process. Okay, easy, right? So we wrote down the same we had before, or we had the Twitter message. Probably we have to have a confirmation of him so that we say, okay, it was really the real one, and now we have 4 mails. We have to inform Danny's son to tell him, hey, should not be that sad. You have a great dad. He's giving you the Lambo. I know your money is gone with Bitcoin, but hey, you can show off with your new Lamborghini. We will inform Danny's wife, of course, Danny and the Lambo dealer. So yeah, this is the bad part. Yeah, no Bitcoin moon. And so the next day, Danny's wife called us and said, okay, I know I don't want to bother you, but these guys always get like arguing what Lamborghini is better. Is it the Murcielago or is it Diavolo? And the one likes the black more and the other likes the blue one. And we thought, and she's like, hey, you have to build it for us, okay? I want my son to choose the model. Okay, this is where where I tried to draw something like this, and I was, oh man, it sounds so easy, right? It was sounding that easy, but now it's
Getting a bit complicated, man.
and I was like feeling, oh, we have a problem, right? I was not feeling like a superhero anymore, and so I asked Alex, what can we do? Can you help me out?
That usually happens. Actually, what I said, man, we can't go back and forth like this all the time. So we change our approach here. I mean, if you look at this, and if you've got some experience, probably you know that is almost something like a process, and that made me think we need a different approach for this. The woohoo approach, or if you read it differently, you say we got to like split it up into a what and a how. So what does this mean? We want to really define the what in a way business people can communicate and understand the requirements very easily, and they can change it very easily. But we also need to think about the how. So as soon as the what is done, we just take it, plug it in there, and run it. As soon as next time someone calls and Andrej want to change our business logic, we want to change it, take it, pull it in there, and run it. So let's first look at the what. Speaking of, let's call it the business logic, we need something like a common language to define that. And I'm pretty sure some of you know that there is something. There is BPMN, Business Process Modeling Notation, which is basically an industry standard based on XML, and you can design very easily processes and logic with it. So it might actually probably not be something that really end users can use, but a business analyst or a requirement engineer like Andrej, they can use it, and they can define the logic with it and change with it. So it's a great base of communication, also for like business people and dev. So let's have a look how we end up. So, I mean, it's not so far from what at the last sketch Andrej drew out. So these are three different processes, business processes. We create this with a graphical user interface for the XML, basically, with a designer. Nowadays, there are web-based designers, there are also desktop-based designers, but people can use it like a software. So let's look at the first process, and we go through it from left to right. So this was our first requirement. We say there's a start event, and we trigger it, let's say, for 30 minutes. So every 30 minutes, a process kicks off, and it says, start a system task, call coin market cap, and take the Bitcoin value from it. We receive, like you showed the API before, we receive the value, we extract it, and we store it at the process. We move on to the right. We have an exclusive decision, so we have to move either to the right or we move down. We say, if Bitcoin is bigger than 20,000, we move on and we order a Lambo. If not, we just finish. So it's pretty easy. And you can imagine, cool thing is, if you want to add another step, another system where we get data from, we just add it at this level. It's just easy for Andrej to design it and later to run it. The second one is not so much more complicated. We change the start, for example. We do not start with a timer, but we start with a message. So another system sends our application a message, says, hey, we received the tweet we were talking about. And then we start the process. We again get the Bitcoin value, we move on. In this case, it was a little bit different. So we have this exclusive decision saying, this time we only want to go further to the right if Bitcoin is smaller than 1,500 USD, or we end in a specific state. If I got you correct, you explained the process like, after tweeting the message, he still want to confirm, yes, go forth with ordering. So we do something called a user task. So the user task is cool because in our application, the user gets a graphical user interface, he gets a task where he can say, oh, I want to confirm or I want to reject the order. You see that there is another decision saying, if you confirm, you're going to order a Lambo. If not, we end the whole thing and say it was not confirmed. So you probably see that the order Lambo is like outlined bold and has a special plus under it. It's a cool thing called a sub-process. So what we did here is we said, I mean, basically, the Lambo thing is the same all the time for all the use cases. So we model a separate process which can be executed then manually or from another process. So we say ordering the Lambo is all the time the same for all use cases. We want to have a user interface for the son. I don't remember the name. What was his name, the son?
Oh, I don't know his name.
Son.
It's Dennis' son. I don't know, actually.
Dennis' son. So probably in this case, we do a mobile UI on his smartphone. He gets a UI saying, nice color picker, and he swipes through the models, and he says, yeah, that's what I want. We save the selection to the process. Later on, we have a mail task to inform a recipient list, hey, he made his selection, he wants this kind of Lambo. And then, you recognize with this, like before, we have a system task connecting an external system, in this case, the Lambo dealer saying, hey, we want to place the order at the Lambo dealer's system. And at the end, we have some finished procedure like the legal stuff, and so it ends up in our company. So basically, that's a very simple explanation of what a business process is and what we can do. So basically, now I send him off, telling him, come on, go draw this out, and I take care of the how. So we still don't know how we want to run this, and we want to know about the bits and bytes that will basically run and connect the what. So what we want to do, you can build a process engine yourself. Actually, there was a guy at our booth, he said he did it. It took him 6 guys, a lot of alcohol, and they did it. We didn't have 6 guys, so we chose a platform. That's usually what we do. There are a lot of process platforms out there, all with different features, and we made our decisions with this criteria. We said, man, normally we really want to have a platform that we can reuse results. We don't want to have like proprietary legacy systems after 2 years. We want to reuse results we produced. We want to leverage existing tools that there are already existing in our company. Definitely our dev team should code less. We want to focus on constantly delivering, and we want to use cool and open source frameworks. Who doesn't? So basically, what I want to show you is that we chose the digital business platform by a company called Alfresco, which basically provides services around content, process, and governance. I mean, that's not something magically. A lot of software does this, a lot of vendors produce software like this. But what we liked about Alfresco's solution is it is open source, it is built to run everywhere, in the cloud, on-premise, and probably as hybrid. They integrate with open APIs and industry standard, which was very important for us, since BPM projects are mostly integrative projects.
At this point, I asked Alex, come on, Alex, we thought it would be really a short solution, and now we have to clean out our basement and bring all the big frame machines in to run this thing. I mean, it's big.
True, I don't want either. So what we decided is, cool thing about the Alfresco tools is that they are already pre-configured on AWS. I don't know how many people have already used Amazon Web Service or deployed something in it. 1, 2? Yeah, a couple. So you know that it's pretty easy. It doesn't mean that Alfresco software runs only on Amazon Web Service. It also runs on other cloud providers. But the thing is that there is a quick start. You go to the marketplace, you search for Alfresco process service, you find the quick start, you fill in some parameters, and half an hour later, you have a production instance up and running. Without any infrastructure in your company, it's pretty cool. So basically, like 35 minutes later, I was deploying the first version of the Lambo process to our process framework. I mean, it was pretty cool. So what was working right now? We had a low-code platform for business analysts, like Andrej, to work with the business logic, and he was really leaving me alone much more. I could really focus on working on the technical stuff. We had it running on an SaaS infrastructure, and from here on, we could replicate use cases very easily. We could just keep on building similar use cases, attaching our own UIs, mobile UIs, very easily. But, you know, the story doesn't end here. So basically, we were thinking of something more. There were some aspects we didn't like about the solution as it was at the moment. So what was missing for us? Basically, the process, I mean, what we had was a centralized solution. It was run in the cloud. You can run almost every software in the cloud, but it still doesn't mean that it's cloud native. So, for example, our processes do not scale out independently. You can scale the whole platform, you can scale it up and down, but you cannot say, hey, we just need the tweet process to have double the power because there are so many tweets coming in, something like that. We're not able to do, but we wanted to do it. So we were not happy with this centralization, and I mean, Andrej constantly talks about this blockchain, 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 and decentralized apps. So I said, man, we need something other anyway. With the centralized thing, it won't work. So our Lambo will have to grow some wings. And I mean, we found a cool framework we want to tell you about. It's called Activiti Cloud. I don't know who of you know the business process engine Activiti. Are there somewhere here? Activiti? Oh, a few. Nice. So basically, cool thing is that it was the same stack we used before, because Activiti is already the core process engine we were using before in Alfresco process services. So Activiti Cloud is an open source framework. You can go out there and use it, just download it. And it's not centralized anymore. It's built with cloud native building blocks. We will see later what it is, but it consists of runtime bundles, connectors, and some add-ons around it. If you develop for cloud application, microservices application especially, you probably stumbled across, or you already use, frameworks like Spring Cloud, Spring Boot. Activiti Cloud is completely built around them. It's designed for containers and orchestrators, so it's not like taking something and adopting it for the cloud. It's really something building it from scratch for the cloud. And I mean, it's still in its early access stage, but it's growing really rapidly. So let's have a look how this ends up. You see, this is not centralized anymore. We split basically our whole process application in several parts. We have the runtime bundles and the runtime bundles. And cool thing about them, you don't have everything in there. You just have the process definitions we designed earlier, the BPMN diagrams, and you have the core process engine running them. And you deploy it as a self-contained service in a container in a microservice way. You can have multiple of these runtime bundles deployed. And this way, we can really handle them separately. We can manage them separately. We can scale them separately. Very important to go on then is, as I told from my perspective, most important thing in a process platform is to connect systems to it. So in our case, I think it was the Twitter API, it was the Lambo manufacturer, and it was the CoinMarketCap API we need to connect in some way. And cool thing is that Activiti Cloud has something called Cloud Connectors. So basically what you do is you create another self-contained service, being the Twitter connector, Lambo connector, or CMC connector. And again, you deploy them separately in a microservice way in own containers and can scale them up and down as we need. And basically, this was pretty much what we are looking for and how we were really happy with it. And I don't know about you, but at this time I felt like a superhero again, because it was really flexible from an operation perspective. On top of that, I mean, there's a bit of a reduced picture because, as probably some of you know, talking about microservice, there's a lot of around, handled by Spring Cloud, for example. But there is a query API, like auditing API and notifications, just to work with the processes and manage them. So this is basically the message we want to tell you. There is something that lets you use business processes in a very efficient way, and it could be cool for your application just to strip the business logic out of it, but it doesn't have to be a heavyweight, old legacy business process platform, like there are so many out there. It can be a really cool, lightweight, and modern framework. So get your hands on it. Go and give it a try. You can go to the websites of Activiti, Activiti Cloud. There is already a Git book out there with a lot of information about Activiti Cloud as well. And you will find information about Alfresco processes on the Alfresco website.
Yeah, but we have 2018, so I thought like, hey, 2018, we think like this would be a cool use case for the blockchain, right? Wouldn't it be a cool use case? I mean, imagine if we could just Imagine if we could just take the sub-process and deploy it as a smart contract to a blockchain. Then I would save all the paperwork, like with the lawyers. Maybe we could get rid of it. And this is the thing we are thinking of this year, but actually this is another story we want to tell you 2019, because we're not finishing yet. We have to, as I said, blockchain is very young. We have to put our brains together and to bring something out new. So I would be happy if you come back and we can tell you the story, how this goes on with blockchain next year. Yeah, that's it, actually. A big thank you for two of us.
And I just really want to give some thanks out for the guys from Activiti that really supported us in putting this up. The Alfresco community, where Francesco is here to support us. There is, they call it a blueprint app, basically a demo app, out there on GitHub already. You can just download, use, run on Docker, and really see the whole thing live in code. So I really would recommend, if you're interested, have a look. It's pretty easy and pretty easy to get into it. And yeah, so basically that's it from us. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed.